Welcome to Sex and the Solo Girl. Join your host, her inner circle, and expert guests weekly for chats about dating, secure attachment, the solo lifestyle, doing relationships differently, and of course, sex. And here's your host, Janice Formicella.
Welcome to Dating Q&A with Brian Dunn and Janice Formicella. We are here to help. Hello, Brian. Thank you for being here to share your wisdom with me and my audience. I love hearing from you.
Yes, it's so good to be back. And I missed the good old days, quote unquote, from Clubhouse, and other times we would do like dating Q&A sessions from live listeners and things like that, because it really gets to people who are having actual problems or actual challenges, and they want help. So, and that's the heart of coaching as well. So it's good to be taking a look at some of these questions and problems people are having, and what are two different takes, because you and I sometimes, have different perspectives or different insights to offer. So I think this is going to be a great episode or episode series for listeners.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a few of these. So everybody keep your eyes on the space, as everybody always says, because we're going to answer a couple each time. And yeah, Brian and I, a couple years ago, we're in a dating Q&A Clubhouse room, and people would ask us questions live, and it was really cool. We had a round table. We'd go around and give people insights into what they were going through. We had some interesting people come through there, and it was really, I always looked forward to it every time. So here we are back to help and to think on our feet a bit. Brian has pulled questions from Reddit that we are going to both answer and have a lot of fun with it. I promise everyone, these are going to be things that are going to be relevant in your dating life for sure. Like we pulled some fun ones, but ones that I think that are going to help people on their journey out there. Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that my website is freshened up with lots of new fun things over there. So go visit janiceformicella.com. And I just started a Patreon finally. And so please go show your support. Check out what I've got going on over there. I'm really excited about it. So janiceformicella.com, come and hang out with me. And with that, Brian, let's help some daters. Let's do two today. Would you like to read the first one?
All right.
What do you got for us?
Here goes. So I'm reading in the voice of the person who wrote this. So I'm curious how you all see sex gaps, i.e. experience or inexperience. I'm 43 and had a very, very vanilla long-term 20-year marriage. There are a lot of things I want to try and haven't. I feel like talking about these things too early risks someone being interested just to be my first in certain things. I think not divulging it may also lead to awkward bedroom situations, because when I say vanilla, that's probably an insult to vanilla. I'm not sure the best approach to discuss it and how long I should wait.
Yay! Brian and I did an episode on sex communication. I will link to it in the show notes. I will republish it on the new website. And so I'm glad that you selected this one, because I think that we're both great at this. So a couple things stand out to me. First of all, I want to make sure that people know that vanilla is not an insult, not in my mind. It's a way to describe certain types of sex. So I really want to make sure. Yeah, I wanted to say that first, because it's not meant to be a judgment, at least. I'm wondering if this person sees it as less evolved, and maybe that's where he's coming from with this, but I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Maybe the poster thinks that he or she, I'm not sure if this is a man or woman or what, but thinks that everybody else is having all this kinky kind of non-vanilla sex, and this person thinks I must be the only one that hasn't tried these different things. And I think more people than you would expect are pretty vanilla in the bedroom. So I don't think I agree. I don't think it's offensive to say vanilla. And I think that this person may be overestimating the amount of different kinds of bedroom things people have tried.
Sure. Thank you. I also did an episode called Let's Get Kinky recently, and Jesse and I talked about how we aren't saying that kinky is better by any means. So let's now talk about how to address this with people. I would say there's definitely comfort that this person needs to get to, but that it's part of a new relationship, would be talking about these things. And I think it's going to come with a bit of practice. And I will say maybe working your way up, meaning, first of all, you need to establish some trust with the person so that you feel comfortable talking about these things. And then what else, when it comes to sex, are you less at ease bringing up or discussing? I give the tip a lot of the time of making sure that you discuss verbally safe sex, and that you make sure to put that out there before you get to the point of engaging sexually with a partner. Because I actually think, despite what people may believe or want to believe, that people are less comfortable talking about safe sex than you might think. And so once you can start to have that conversation, some of these things may get easier. I have more insight, Brian, but do you want to comment?
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. And this was from the Dating Over 40 subreddit. So it's not like this person is in the like kinky subreddit or anything like that. So this is just a person getting back into dating after getting divorced after 20 years. So I agree that it's about safety and communication up front. If this person was trying to check off some boxes, and that would be very different, because if you might be on Field or FetLife or something where you would be very upfront about these are things I want to try. But this person is just out there after 20 years of marriage, dating again, not sure how to approach the sex part of dating because it's been, forever. So I think as you're getting into relationships or, getting to know somebody in the early stages of dating, that you talk about sex when it's appropriate for you in the context of dating that person, whenever you feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
You might talk about sex before you're ready to have sex, but I think that's better than talking about sex after you have sex, or never talking about sex, because it like you mentioned, talking about boundaries and safety and consent and what that looks like for both of you. I think that if you are just getting back into dating after a divorce, and you are sort of nervous or shy or uncomfortable talking about sex or whatever it might be, that it can be better to set some sort of flexible, but some sort of timeline for yourselves. People think of 3 dates, but for you, it might be a month, or it might be 6 dates, or it might be a certain number of hours you've gotten to know somebody, or at least some point where you feel comfortable enough and that they are consistent and they are safe and they are trustworthy, that you can engage in kissing and making out and having sex, and that's not the carrot at the end of the reward waiting for putting in the work. You want it to be, okay, we're starting to date, whatever that means for you in this context of you and I. And okay, the next step would be this, but that's not a test drive to see, okay, are you going to ghost me now or whatever? So it should just be part of, okay, we've been dating for a month or 6 weeks. Now we're moving to this point. Let's talk about sex and what feels good and what we like. To wrap it up and try and get back to the point is, I think you don't have to talk about the non-vanilla stuff you want to try up front. Again, unless you were on like FetLife or Field or that's your goal. This should be a few times. Okay, just get to know each other's bodies and the rhythm and the sync, how each of you are with each other, and get all of that awkwardness out of the way, especially if this person hasn't been sexual with anybody since their divorce, and just get all of that out of the way. And then once you get into a good rhythm, so to speak, with the person, then you can talk about, hey, there's this thing I really wanted to try. What do you think about that? And you can have those conversations outside the bedroom.
I think that's on one side of it for sure. And then, I mean, one of the tips I like to give all of the time, and Brian's heard me give this, is the BDSM quiz. If you are to the point inside of a relationship where these things are being discussed and you feel safe broaching the topic, this is really fun to do in a new relationship. It's sexy. And despite the name, it does cover quite a few kinks. It's not just BDSM. And it is really long. And so, like, what I did in my most recent relationship is we both took it, even though we had already taken it. It's still fun to do. And then we shared our answers. And then, I mean, that naturally opened up conversations about things. So I will say, as far as how to broach it, that's a cute and fun way to do it. And then, kind of on the almost like on the flip side of things, Brian mentioned FetLife and Field. Depending on what you want to explore, I would say if you'd like to meet people who might be into the same things, I mean, go out and experiment, take a little bit of the guessing game out, and maybe intentionally connect with people who want to explore the same things.
I also think that if you are able to have the discussion prior to having sex, I think that can be a good gauge to see, is this person all of a sudden turn to only wanting to talk about sex, or only being single-mindedly thinking about, okay, when are we going to have sex? Because then you can judge, okay, do they want me for me, or do they think that like the promise of sex is something that they are going to get out of this? I, during the pandemic, had a first date, kind of walking around with somebody. Our second date, we met at the beach, and I brought a couple of little Duralogs, a Bluetooth speaker, some food from like Trader Joe's, and a bottle of wine. And then I brought this little card deck. It's a Truth or Drink, and there's like a YouTube series and stuff like that. But it's basically there's 5 different decks of cards within this game, and there are different kind of categories of cards, and you can either answer the question or take a drink or something. So I said, okay, here's this game with all these different decks. Remind you, again, this was second date, but she picked the deck of cards that was about sex. So it was kind of a safe, fun thing, and it was not directly, what do you like in bed, but it kind of confrontational. It was, here's these cards to facilitate this conversation we can have, kind of fun, flirty. And that allows you to see how well do they respond and react, and are they comfortable talking about sex? Are they turning into like this single-minded person who only wants to talk about sex and tries to jump down your throat, or are they respectful and say, okay, we can talk about sex without that meaning that means you want to have sex right now, kind of thing. So I think it's a good litmus test for people who can have mature conversations around sex and what that means. That's
a good point, actually. Yes, to gauge the other person's comfort level, because that's important in and outside of the bedroom. And I will also say, like, have fun out there, whoever wrote this question. Brian, shall I read the next one?
Sure.
I just matched with someone and we were chatting, just getting to know each other. They mentioned they're stationed overseas and can't FaceTime or talk on the phone. Now, I call BS on that, but who am I to judge? I'm not educated on the restrictions of those in the military. But then they had the audacity to ask if I thought I could develop feelings over text without ever seeing them in person. Am I tripping, or is this as ridiculous as it sounds? Drop your comments, because I need to know if I'm overreacting. I've got thoughts on all of this, but Brian, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I just want to check with our listeners to see if you understand kind of what's going on with this situation, because it's very clear to us. We've dealt with a lot of people. We've seen a lot of these kinds of situations, but just to drop it here, it should be very clear that this person is not who they say they are.
Yeah.
He's a scammer. I'm on a military base. I can't FaceTime. I can't talk. And then sort of getting into the love bombing territory. Do you think, we've been texting. Do you think he could fall in love, develop feelings over text? These are major telltale signs. And oftentimes, if you do like a reverse image search, there are certain there are certain pictures of people in the military that get used, recycled over and over for a lot of these profiles.
It's a really common one. Sorry to interrupt, but the military, that's a really common catfish scam.
And at the same time, think about, I'm matching with somebody on a dating site. They're on the other side of the world. Is that really what I want right now? Do I want to try and develop a relationship with somebody I can't see, I can't be with, who won't be home for 6 months or a year or whatever that is, even if you could FaceTime? Because a lot of times these people overseas, they may have a family back home, or they if they're developing feelings for you in 2 weeks in falling in love or like that, who else are they talking to? Are they talking to other people? So I think you need to decide your own boundaries. If you are looking for love, if you are looking for a relationship, do you want to start off with somebody who you won't be able to see for 6 months or a year? Getting past that, usually it's a catfish, it's a scammer.
Yeah, I was also going to question how you matched with someone who's on the other side of the world, and yes, to consider if that's something you want to if that's something you want to continue doing in the future online. So I will say, I know that you said that this is an obvious scammer, but I actually do talk to people still who would not perhaps see all of these things on red flags. So as red flags, there is no reason in the world that someone cannot show you their face and get on a FaceTime. So as soon as someone says that it is not real, this guy, there would be no reason that he would have access to the internet, but not be able to FaceTime. So yes, obvious, never ever move forward with this. And frankly, I think my only advice or thing that I would say is that it is strange to ask if you can develop feelings over text without seeing them. That's not an appropriate way to build a foundation for a relationship. And so I appreciate that you're asking this question, but I would just say, move on.
Yeah, I think even if you want to believe it, I think there are ways to vet them. If you just can't get past the fact that, oh, maybe this could be my true love, I think you can safely ask them to provide a picture with like something written on a piece of paper or something to prove it's them, like other ways to verify. Because oftentimes, I can't send pictures. My camera is broken on my laptop. Lots of excuses. Another telltale sign is they want to move to WhatsApp or one of these messaging apps.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good tip. You don't need to move to WhatsApp.
Yeah, WhatsApp is often used by scammers in lots of other countries trying to just get you over, and then eventually it'll turn into asking for money, this and that. So again, I'll personally go back to, what are you looking for in a relationship, and why would you want to start long distance with somebody who is in the military, says they can't even talk to you live on the phone or video time, FaceTime.
Yeah. So, and just one last thing. We used the term catfish a couple of times, but I would suggest to this person and anyone else who's online dating, go and watch the show. It will put the fear of God in you as far as vetting people. It's also really entertaining. It's one of my favorite reality shows of all time. I'm able to stream most of the seasons on Hulu. And I mean,
is it called Catfish or Catfished?
Catfish.
What was Catfish?
You haven't watched it?
I have not. I've heard of it because I knew there was like a movie.
And as far as you saying that this was obvious, there are people on there from all ages, walks of life, everything, who get catfished or scammed heavily all the time. So you would be surprised. A lot of people do fall for it. So anyone who's trying to meet someone online, I think they're actually doing a great service to the public, because they are showing how easy it is to get bamboozled and how heartbreaking it can be. So please, go over and watch. It's great.
I think it may be getting worse or like easier for scammers now, AI, things like that. There was a woman who recently sent somebody like $50,000 or $80,000 to someone she thought was Brad Pitt, who needed surgery, and like pictures that like to us, like you would look at the pictures, oh, that's picture is fake, but it was like pictures of somebody in a hospital bed with Brad Pitt's face on there. But I think with AI and other sorts of technology, it's going to get worse. There's even
Good point.
filters for, like, you could put FaceTime or Zoom or whatever. There might be filters if they are faking stuff that way. But I think there's a lot of vetting that needs to take place. And going back, do you want somebody in your zip code who you can actually see and have a relationship with, or do you want to? Is it more about the validation and the emotional connection where you're just getting something out of it by talking to somebody when they're not probably real?
Well, and that's you bring up a really good point, because a lot of people believe that the scams are just for send me money. That's out there for sure. It is. However, a lot of people are pretending to be someone else online just because they want the connection and the companionship and someone to talk to and someone to text. And so a lot of people will get into these fake and be catfished because the person hasn't asked for money or anything.
Yeah.
You can still get wrapped up and get your heart broken because the other person might be getting a lot out of having you to text with every day and building a fake relationship like that. A lot of people get off just on that. So please be careful with your heart, your personal information, all of it.
Yeah. I think at the very least, set some sort of milestones for yourself, like within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is. Even if they are not local, you need to have some sort of live video chat, something so you can actually verify it's a person and they sound like who they say they are and all of this. So make sure you're vetting to protect yourself. There are people who get into long distance relationships, and usually it's maybe another city away, another state away or something, but you need to be able to protect yourself by setting up these ways to verify, trust but verify, all that kind
and
of
if
stuff.
they're serious about you, even if they're in another city, they should be making arrangements to see you. But maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Well, if you're going to get into a long distance relationship, there should be some sort of plan or end goal of, we're not just going to be pen pals for 6 months. If you want to do a long distance relationship, both parties should have the means, financial means, the time off to be able to travel to the middle, travel to see each other.
Yes.
And that should be part of the discussions you're having, and not just pen pal, oh, I'm developing feelings and let me tell you my life story kind of thing.
I completely agree. My rule with my clients is, if you live in the same area, you should, after talking and connecting online, you should meet within a week typically. And if they're out of the city or out of the area, within a month. Okay, perfect. We've got somebody wanting to expand their horizons sexually, and we've got someone who thinks they're getting scammed online. I hope that this helped not just the people who sent these into Reddit, but everyone listening. Do you have a dating or sex relationship question that you would like Brian and I to answer? Please go over to Instagram, Janice Formicella. Send me a message. I answer every DM that I get. Let me know what your question is, and we will answer it. Or go over to my website, janiceformicella.com, and you can send me a message there. We would love to help. We are not too cool. I will respond to your DMs, and we'll get them in an episode. And with that, we'll see you next time for Dating Q&A with Brian Dunn and Janice Formicella.
Thank you for listening to Sex and the Solo Girl with Janice Formicella, the podcast for those who want to add more flavor to their relationships with themselves and others. If you liked today's episode, make sure to head over to Instagram and let her know. See you next week.